Hi, it's Sarah here from Crafting and Stamping, and I'm back with another quick card. And today we're going to be using one of the designer series papers that is on offer this month through until the 2nd of August. It's available, and this particular one is Euro Peach, and this paper has got bold patterns on one side and it's got more subtle patterns on the other, and we're just using this pattern and combining it with this one to actually create a background for our card. So like I say, this is actually on offer until the 2nd of August, so worth grabbing while you can. And for the stamps, I'm actually using Shaded Summer, and we're actually going to stamp onto a pattern, but because it's a subtle pattern, we should be able to get a good impression of our stamp. So I've already cut my card layers, a usual card base in Calypso Coral and a card layer from our peach pattern, and then I cut this layer so that it would be big enough for the flower stamp and the sentiment. That actually turns out to be 3 1/4 by 2.5 inches, and then my mat is cut just 1/4 inch bigger on both sides so that it gives a nice even border. So I'm stamping with Night of Navy ink, making sure that my stamp is well inked, and then I'm going to actually stamp this leaning off a little to one side to make sure that there's a good amount of room for my sentiment. So just pressing that firmly, and there we go. So I'm going to do the same thing now with the sentiment, and I went with Night of Navy because I want a good contrast between that background paper and the inked pieces as well, inked elements. So I'm just making sure that that's about as straight as I can manage. Again, just pressing but not too firm. There we go. And that gives me my stamped image. So I'm just going to set that aside. We'll glue these pieces while that is drying. And I'm just going to use a bit of Tombow. Just shake that down to the end. But this is an idea that you'd be able to do with a few of the other papers that have got some subtle patterns as well as bolder ones. The Pansies comes to mind. That one's got a nice mix of bold and subtle as well. And so I'm going to flip this over, being careful not to smudge the ink in case it's still wet. So I'll pop that on, just hold it by the edges, just conscious, I seem to have been smudging ink a lot recently, so I'm being extra careful today. Make sure that that's in place, and then flip it over and press from the back, and if there is still any wet ink, it should blot onto there like that. Right, so next I'm going to grab my dimensionals and pop some dimensionals on the back here, like that. Peel these off. And I'm just going to pop that on there like that. And then just to finish, I pulled out some of my blue adhesive back gems. These are the Balmy Blue ones. You could also use the darker navy ones. Either one would go with this design. And I'm just going to use a single large one in the centre of my flower there. Get that lined up with the centre and press. And that is our quick card for the day. So very simple, but like I say, you could repeat that idea and use that on any sort of subtle background. What you want is something that has got a somewhat darker, more etched. If it's a too fine line a drawing, then it won't stand out. So you want something that's got a fair amount of bold black as it looks on the card front, on the stamp set front. So I hope that that has given you some ideas, a bit of inspiration. If you enjoy these quick videos, please subscribe below, and I'll be back on Friday with another quick tip. Thanks for stopping by.